Josephine, for that lovely introduction, and to everyone joining in, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever it is in the world that you are joining us from today, welcome. Before I start today, I want to take a minute to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I stand and speak with you today, the Darug people of the Aurora Nation, and I want to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that out to any Indigenous and First Nations people that might be joining us today or watching this on a replay. Now, like Josephine said, we are here today to talk about the power of habits. Now, the fascinating thing about habits that I find is that we are not born with these habits. Habits are created over time through experiences, through our circumstances, through everything that we move through and we grow through, we create habits. Now, some of these habits can be negative and lead to not so favorable outcomes, whereas some can be positive and lead us to greater power, greater potential, greater possibility. And today, I want to talk to you about the habit of speaking for impact. Now, the fascinating thing about habits is that we can all learn them individually. Each of us every day have the opportunity to learn a new habit, to create something different. And just because we've never done something before, or we haven't developed that habit before, it does not mean that going forward, we cannot create that new habit or start today to develop that going forward. So just because we haven't done something before doesn't mean we cannot do it now, we cannot start now, and we cannot go on to be amazing and incredible in that. So how did I get to this point even of learning about habits? And as we go through, I'm going to share with you the 6 key things that is involved in building a habit around speaking for impact. And we go into this more in my program that we do, my signature program, but I want to give this to you today and share this with you in terms of how we can all build a habit of speaking for impact. But to do that, I want to share with you a bit of a story first. So I want to take you on a bit of a journey as to how I got to even understand this. So if you meet me today, you meet somebody who is confident in using their voice and sharing their story. You meet somebody who is congruent in how they show up. And like Josephine mentioned, if you look me up online, you'll see 2-time international best-selling author, transformational speaker who has spoken globally, inspiring hundreds and thousands of people. But the thing that wakes me up every morning, the thing that sets my soul on fire, is the fact that I get to wake up every day to use my story and my message and my program to go out and engage, impact, and inspire other people. But my life and story was not always like this. Because I was someone who was terrified of public speaking. And we're talking about habits and building them, right? But I was somebody who was terrified of public speaking. Say terrified, put in the chat, say terrified. Yeah, I was terrified of public speaking. And because I was so scared of it, it actually became a limiting belief. Now, like those bad habits that we create, they sometimes form limiting beliefs. And we start living our life based on those limiting beliefs because they start to become our narrative. They become what we believe, and then it becomes how we behave. So over time, that started becoming my narrative, that I could never speak. How many of us here have a limiting belief or maybe a habit that we've got into that we keep telling ourselves that I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I won't do it. Yep, I see you, Lisa. I see you, Deb. Yep, I see you, Alexandra. Exactly. See you, Josephine. my handwritten. We've all been there, right? But what we're coming here to talk about is that we have the power to change that. Now, forget even speaking in public. I was someone who could not even read because I was the kid that stood at the back of the classroom, unable to even read. And I remember when I was called on to read, I would pick up the book and I would see the words on the page that would just jump off. And I could feel my knees knocking, my palms getting sweaty, my chest pounding. And when I'd open my mouth to speak, no sound would come out. Like nothing. And this limiting belief, this so-called habit that I thought I had built up about not being able to speak, continued on in my life. It followed me from school into university, from university into the workplace. And I became someone who, even when I was sitting in a meeting and someone asked a question, even though I knew the answer, I was terrified to put my hand up and answer it because I hadn't built that habit yet. But I realized one day, you know what? I too have a story to share. I too have a message that this world needs to hear. And I'm sure, like each of you, you have a story to share. And it was when I realized that my story matters, my message matters, even if it was to only go out and to inspire one person, even if it was to let just one child know that they were not different, to let one parent or teacher change their conversation. If I was to able to inspire one person to then go on to inspire someone else and create that ripple effect, then that was reason enough that I needed to make a change in my life. And in order to do that, I needed to change my habits, my beliefs, my limitations. I had to step into my fear, step out of my comfort zone, and immerse myself into practicing the habit that I wanted to develop. In order to do that, I had to get some of the best coaches and mentors in the business, speakers, mentors, coaches, and surround myself with this in order to then learn from them, to learn new techniques, to tweak, to change, to grow, and to keep learning and keep growing and keep developing this habit that I now absolutely love. Like my current speaker coach, get this, my current speaker coach has been on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So this is like really learning from the best. And what that's allowed me to do now is because I have made this habit part of everything that I do, it's allowed me to now develop my own program that I'm now able to use and bring others along that journey of creating their own habits around speaking, their own habits on how to overcome that fear, their own habits on how to show up and share their story and message with the world. So they can now go out and engage, impact, and inspire other people. Who here now wants to know what the 6 key steps are to speak for impact? Yep, I see your hands going up. All right, let's go. Number 1 is to stay true to your identity. To your identity, not mine. We live in a world today that is filled with people that want to show up like someone else. We see someone going, oh, I want to do that. And then we think we have to show up like them. But when in fact, we are called just to be ourselves, to show up as ourselves, how we sound, how we speak, and stay authentic and true to that. Because when you develop the habit of showing up as yourself in your own identity, that is the first key step to stepping out and building that habit and momentum of speaking for impact. Number 2 is you want to have a clear message. And when you're thinking about your message, remember, it's not only the words that you say, it's not just what you say, it's actually how we say it, how we use our vocal cords and how we use our entire body to convey that message. Number 3, we want to know why we are speaking. What is our purpose? Number 3 is to know your purpose. Why are you speaking? Are we speaking to educate and inform? Are we speaking to motivate someone to take action? Are we speaking to inspire someone to change the way they think and feel? Or are we speaking to do all of that and actually to completely transform someone? Because when we know why we speak, we then can align what we say and how we say it. And when we get into the habit of doing that, you'll see that our message lands better, clearer, and our audience is able to catch it. If you're following by now, you know I'm spelling the word impact, which brings me to step 4, our audience, you people. And when you are up speaking, your audience is key. So when you're developing a habit of showing up consistently and speaking for impact, you want to show up in a way that you connect with each of your audience members. You say, I see you, Lisa. I see you, Deb. I see you, Maria. I see you, Nerissa. I see you, Anshu. And you want to invite people in to be part of that conversation, to sit down and have that dialogue with you. And when they leave, number 5, you want to leave people with a clear call to action. What do you want your listeners to think, to feel, and to do after they've heard you, after they have left? You want to leave them with that so that even after we've left, our message lingers on. And number 6, the icing on the cake, is you always want to tell a story. Because when we share stories that we have learned from, stories that we have grown through, those stories have the power to engage and impact and inspire other people. But if we remain only in content and we share content, yeah, we come across as being credible and knowing our stuff. But when we share story, it allows us to reach out, to connect with people, to let people know that we have been on that journey, that we have been where they once were, that we've had to put in the work to develop those habits that we're now asking and encouraging people to do. And we bring them on that journey. If you think about the layers of a lasagna, your content is the pasta sheets, and your story is actually the gooey, cheesy sauce that flows through it, that brings it all together. So if you go out today and you're thinking about how do I develop this habit of speaking for impact, then it's the 6 key things that you want to do. You want to stay true to your identity. You want to have a clear message. You want to know your purpose. You want to connect with your audience. You want to provide a call to action, and you want to always tell a story. Because when you do that, you then present with confidence, connect with an audience, and leave a lasting impression every single time. So if anyone here is now ready to increase that habit of speaking, of taking it to that next level, then let's have a chat, because let's work together and help each other. And I want to help you build that habit of showing up, sharing your story and message. So I invite you today to come in and connect and let me help you develop this habit.